Hey everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Thank you for spending some time with me today. This is week 4 of the design challenge. I will be going through my brainstorming process for prompt number 3, which you all were doing this past week. And then I will give you the prompt for this week. And if you want to skip over the process and just get to the prompt, I'll put the timestamp for that in the description below. So let's get started. I am doing this on Procreate on my iPad because it's much quicker. You don't have to labor through watching me draw rectangles and whatever. So it will make the video a little shorter and less cumbersome for you all. I have started out with, this is like 5x7, I think, canvas, just because that is the proportion that I generally use when I'm designing quilts. That's kind of what I like quilts to be. So the prompt was toolbox. And like many of you, I had many choices for toolbox. And I think I'm going to do it on weaving toolbox. Warp Spinster, my name, the business name, comes from being a spinner and weaver. Not particularly great at either one of them, but I like both of them, so makes me the Warped Spinster. So I think I will go with weaving. I have done one already, just called Heddles, and if you want to see more about that and see the quilt, then you can. I'm sure I did a Every Quilt a Story, and I will link that in the description as well. But there are so many interesting shapes when you're talking about weaving, and Heddles is one of them, but I've already done that one. And so we have boat shuttles, which are shaped, not surprisingly, like boats, and then they have this inner place and a spindle that runs through there, and that's what the thread is carried on for the weft when you're going back and forth across the warp. So there's a possibility there. We have reed hooks, which they can come in a variety of shapes. That's not a very good reed hook, Karen. I have to think about what a reed hook looks like. It looks like a hook and can come in a variety of shapes, but this is for grabbing a thread and pulling it through a slot in the reed. And speaking of the reed, I don't know why I'm telling you what all of these things do. You probably don't really care. The reed is something that separates the threads. So oftentimes just one thread going through each slot. Sometimes there's more than one. So that has some possibilities. And then there's a similar kind of thing. A lot of weaving is controlling the threads and keeping them separate and unique, or to just help to organize all those threads. When you have warp threads, there can be many hundreds of warp threads. So one of the things you can use is called a raddle, R-A-D-D-L-E. And it's just has pegs on it, which they're more evenly spaced than I'm putting here. And it just helps to organize bundles of threads as you're warping the loom. And that has some interesting possibilities. Let me think, what else? There are lots of things on a loom. There are all kinds of looms, of course. Some of these don't really apply too much for some of the looms that are used in South America, for example, where they do gorgeous things on those. So that, of course, has some interesting possibilities, but I think I'm going to go with the raddle. Let's create a new layer, hide that one, and just do some sketching here. So I have the base here, and then pegs coming up from it. Let me make a little bigger base here. Oops. Ooh, that was kind of cool, wasn't it? And then we have pegs. Let me do that on another layer. And then we have pegs. Come on, Karen. Which of course could be all kinds of colors, which could be fun. And 5. Now, if we want to manipulate those, of course, we've got, oops, wrong one. We could sort of alternate how they fall on that line. In which case I would need to round these ends. So there are things that I could do with that. I could make this, make one much longer, maybe make that one longer, and they could be really quite varied lengths. So some that are really, really long, maybe one that's short. This is looking like kind of an old hay rake, isn't it? Okay, so let's make that one shorter than the others. So I could do all sorts of things with that. I could recolor them. Let me see if I can find some colors that you can see but will not be blaring. So we could change that color. Let me put this on top of all those. And then, oh, let's do this one a different color. And we'll make that one a purple. Or I could do them all black and have a rogue purple, you know. One of my things is rogues. I'm not really much of a rogue person, to be honest with you, but maybe that's why I like it in quilts. So that could be a minimalist kind of design. I could also decide that I'm going to make cross pieces on here and just do a sort of a almost crossword puzzle with just lines, and just continue to build on that with different sizes, shapes, and colors. So that's possible. All right, hide that. And now we've got this, and I'm going to, I think, oops, move this down and perhaps make it the width of the canvas. Maybe, we'll see. And then I want some, actually, no, I'll draw another one here. And I'm going to want this to also be black and just do some pegs here. Now, what I want to do is simulate the thread somehow, and I could do that with straight lines as I did with heddles. Oops, let me do another layer here. As I did with heddles, so I could just do lines like this that could start anywhere. But with heddles, the threads are actually going through the full length of the warp. I don't know, I shouldn't be getting this technical with it. So that's a possibility. But with rattles, you don't really have the thread stretched tightly. Again, design-wise, this doesn't matter, but I'm thinking about other options. I don't have to follow reality. The threads would be looser. So it would be something more like this. And that has some visual appeal. I'm doing the thirds thing here. But it's also, what if I did, let me undo the most recent one. And what if I did several threads running through, and they may or may not be this thick, but just to, because they're actually going to be in bundles when they're going through through the rattle. There isn't just one thread going through each intersection there. Might be different colors. Let's do an orange and go through like this. And of course I would want them to be in threes. Probably wouldn't be that thick. And I think I really don't want two of them. All right, let's ditch this and just think about one over here, because that, of course, is an even number. And so that gives me, I think, kind of a better design. I could either, let me see what happens if I extend this further out. Say all across there. Well, what if I have some going off the edge, which gives the impression of a wider rattle going over. Could make this portion wider if I wanted to, or I could make it narrower. I could also, nothing says that has to look like pegs, right? So I could do, oops. Instead, I could do say triangles here. Either that kind of triangle. Sorry, I'm moving my iPad all over. Oh, I'm liking that better, I think. I think I'm liking that better. Or I could do our famous HSTs. Oh, come on. And of course I could have them all facing the same way. What if we did this though? Kind of like that. And then we get a sawtooth idea going along here. Oops. Not much difference between my HSTs and my equilateral triangles, is there? Although this one would probably want to be turned the other way. Stop. And then we get kind of a secondary thing going on there. I'm kind of liking this concept with the triangles. I'm not sure about that. If I did it, I think I would want, of course, a third one. Okay, maybe do that. And I could duplicate that, oops, and move it over, which would give you a better idea of how that would look if I did 3 of them across. That has a, I don't know, I kind of like that. What would it look like if I had them all going the same direction though. This one I could duplicate, move over here. Oh, I wasn't wanting that there, but I'm not sure I don't like that. That might be all right. Gives it a little more movement somehow, having that smaller bit there. I'm kind of liking it. I'm kind of liking it. A little more animation in that. So that's a couple of possibilities. What else could we do with a rattle? A rattle is so simple. Let's do emphasis more on the threads, and the purpose of the rattle is to bring some organization into the pieces. So let's just do some sort of chaos up here and then brought into a little more organization when it gets down here. See how that works. Okay, so I have something going this way. Since I decided that I liked the triangles, let me do a triangle here. Is that bounding part of the peg or of the rattle? I think I would probably need to do some more of these. What have I not got up there? Let's do a pink. And they don't actually have to be uncrossed at this point. It's as a bundle they're going through there. So I could just do some wild kind of chaotic threads going through and keep it mostly to that side, so I've got the third thing going on. So that would just be a lot of bias strips maybe done. That's a possibility. I would want to maybe work on how those strips are arranged a little bit better. We could, of course, do something that is just very structured and have threads coming down like this, and maybe I would even, yes, thank you, line is created, have them be pretty well regimented. This is going to be kind of a not exactly exciting sort of quilt. Thank you. And these, of course, could be different widths apart and could be different widths themselves. So I might do, let's take these back. So I might do a very heavy sort of line. And then I could do a narrower thread over here. Now we're going to start looking kind of plattish. And then one closer to that one, so they're spaced differently in different widths, which looks more like a plaid. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. What if I put, it seems kind of ho-hum compared to what I have in my head. I don't have a lot in my head about this, is the problem. If I put in, say, my triangles, that is an undecided triangle. It doesn't know if it's an isosceles or right angle triangle. Now it looks kind of menacing, doesn't it? Like those are teeth chewing up the threads. which might ultimately be sort of an interesting design. Or I having a bad day. Let's do, just try it out. If we change the size of that, what if those are underneath the threads? Nope, don't like that. I'm kind of wanting these two to meet together. So I'm going to select this and move it over. Apparently Halloween isn't far enough behind. I am seeing witches' hats there. Oh, and there's kind of a bow that's wonky. So actually, that design is far from what a rattle looks like, but that isn't really a relevant thing. So let's have, well, it's relevant, but isn't necessary that it look like, oh, you know what? I'm kind of liking that. I want to move this over a little bit, naturally, because I'm an asymmetrical move it over that way person. So let me select all of these and just kind of move everything over. I wonder what would happen if these two were switched. This is right down the middle, which, and because it's so large, it attracts a lot of attention. What if I swapped those two? At least roughly speaking. I don't know if I like that better or not. These I probably wouldn't do in black. Maybe I would. I could do them in all different colors, but this emphasizes the orange because the orange is so different from the rest of the quilt. We could do, you can see that I could do this all day, right? Trying not to get my hand in the way here. We could break this up. You know me, I'm slicing and dicing all the time. That adds a little more interest to it. I don't think I want to do that on any others. What happens if we This is looking very Halloween to me between the witch's hat and the orange. I gotta change that orange. Yeah, this will be fine. I would probably make it a lighter teal than this, but you wouldn't be able to see the lighter teal very well. So that's a possibility. That's kind of toothy. Now, what if I did, instead of the triangles, I did just straight up rectangles? So, see if I can get it to recognize this as, nope, I do not want to be an ellipse. Ooh, an ellipse is kind of cool, but no, that's not what I was going for. Close enough for what we're doing here. That's probably too long. Ooh, what if it straddles the line, though? Could have it do that. Another one over here and shorten it up. That's much less interesting, isn't it? What if I rotated it a bit and made it, oh, just made it wonky. you know, bearing no resemblance whatsoever with what I started with, but being perfectly okay with that. And this one then, what do I want to do with that? Maybe it wants to go off the edge. Maybe I want another one of these, but over here, maybe a little shorter. That would be okay, except for this one. If everything else is wonky, it could be rogue and be straight, but it's just not feeling right that way. I don't think I want this, but just in case, let's do find me a purple here. What if we do another line, which means I want to do a third one, of course. Let's do a red and go through like that, so I have 3 lines. That's a possibility. Or, I'm gonna hang on to that one, but what if we made this wider? Let's put some white stripes through those as well, or maybe just on the ones that I want to emphasize most, or maybe all of them, and they don't have to be straight across, of course, because these are wonky. Let's do 3 of them like this. I could also, what if I made these that color over here? I can hear you now. You're just futzing now, Karen. But I'm not really. Okay, that pulls the eye away from here, which can be a good thing if I want to move the eye around the quilt. What if I make one of these a different color? Not that color. If I'm going to, let's do a different green. It's probably a mistake. Yes, that's definitely a mistake. Yeah, that's just too much going on, isn't it? Let's take that back to black. It's not horrible. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm not at all sure about that. I could also, now I'm not going to lie to you, I did at one point sort of have something in my head I thought I might do with a rattle. Cheated a little bit, I guess is what I'm saying. But as always, once I start playing with it, I find things that I like better. This is turning into kind of a wild and crazy controlled wackiness, controlled wonkiness. I think I like it with some extra lines added there. Do I? Let's take a look at that. Without, with. Part of me likes it better, part of me does not. What if those lines are this color? Oops. Not what I was looking for, guys. It's going to be hard to do on such a narrow line here. Oh, well, that's a possibility. Now this is looking like a party on a cruise ship. Across the railing with confetti. never mind. Of course, the other option, another option, let's take the white lines off there and do them instead on the teal piece here. I do try to edit out a lot of these soundless contemplation points. I'm just pretty sure that in the background y'all are going, no, no, don't do that. Try this. I don't know. That looks too snaky to me. Not a fan of snakes. Perfectly valuable creatures. I just don't like running into them. There's something missing, and I think that those stripes really add what I'm looking for. This is just completely off the topic here, but let's try an orange here, and that's too bright an orange. Let's go with that coral color and do, see, now I've got this party and confetti thing in my head. So I have a whole new prompt for myself. Just random triangles floating across the space. So I've kind of gone from a pretty minimalist sort of design to all kinds of things thrown on the canvas. So that's a possibility. Maybe sort of falling from the sky along this ribbon, floating down. Yeah, I don't like that. Don't hate it, but I don't really like it much either. So I want to keep the interest down here. This does not have to be even width, but I think I want it to be. I don't know. I like that. I think that's a keeper. So this is a possibility. That was one we looked at that, not my favorite. So we had that possibility. And we have one more. I think we had one more. Oh yeah, that one that we started with that just really, might add more to it and it would be fine. So I think that my favorite is going to be the one that we did last. Don't like that one. That one's okay, has some possibilities if I'm, changing that around. First choice, maybe second choice. Although we did have the bit up here. Making you dizzy with all this, aren't I? Where I had these instead of these. Yeah, I'm still liking the other one better. Be interested in your opinion, but I think I'm liking that more. What if we add those in for a pop of color that I think it kind of needs. So I think that's my first choice. I'll post some photos of the others, though none of them exactly get me excited about making a quilt. that will be it then for my prompt for last week, which moves us on to our prompt for week 4. 4? Is that right? Yes, week 4. I'm losing track of my life. And that prompt is going to be something from your office. Now, just like toolbox, office is a very broad term, or it can be interpreted very broadly. So you may have a traditional office, and you can draw from that. You may have an office at home. You may not have something that would be a traditional office. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, and your office is maybe a place where you pay bills, but it could be just about anywhere in your house because you work everywhere. If you're retired, like I am, maybe you have an office space that you use for, I don't know, paying bills or whatever. I have several office spaces in my house. One is my living room sofa. Then I have an office that has my computer in it, and then I have my sewing studio. So I would have lots of choices there. So maybe I could call it a workspace instead of an office, because offices are everywhere now. So just choose something which gives you a really broad category, but if you want to narrow down your choices, then choose one space in your house or your workplace, which may be your house, that you would designate your office. I was just thinking about, I've had plumbers and folks coming in working on things in the house, and I'm always struck by their lap board sorts of things, lap desks that they have, where they keep invoices and stuff that they write up, and I think that's kind of cool too. Just the hinges on that. So lots of choices. Try to narrow it down if you can, because it will make it easier for you to decide what to design from. And remember, as we've shown here, you can take it all over the map. I started out with something that sort of looks like this, but added lots of things in and changed things around and added stripes, etc. So think about doing that. I find too many choices overwhelming sometimes, so you might want to narrow it down, but just choose something from your workspace, whatever that might be. On Wednesday, I want to do some Christmassy holiday kinds of things, and I think they can be adapted if you don't celebrate Christmas. If you celebrate some other holiday, then I think you'll be able to adapt to that, or to just general year-round use. So we'll do that on Wednesday. On next Sunday, of course, we will have week 5, and you'll have another prompt. I've had people sharing on Instagram and Facebook their designs that they've been doing, and I love seeing those. And I love seeing other quilts that you've been making that have been inspired by videos. So I look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday or Sunday, or on Facebook or Instagram. In the meantime, be well, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.